Welcome to my channel Warth Old Coins. Today's best top 6 coins. Please don't skip this video, so let's get it started. Top 1. The 1962 United States 1 cent coin. Also known as the Lincoln Memorial Cent, is a small yet historically rich coin that reflects both the heritage of American leadership and the numismatic transition of the mid-20th century, minted at the Denver Mint. Denoted by the small D mint mark beneath the date on the obverse. This coin is part of the long-running Lincoln Cent series that began in 1909 to honor the 100th birthday of President Abraham Lincoln, the 16th President of the United States. Designed by Victor David Brenner. The obverse front of the 1962 D penny features a right-facing portrait of Lincoln, who led the nation through the Civil War and helped abolish slavery. The portrait, notable for its solemn expression and sharp detail, was revolutionary in 1909, as it marked the first time a real person, rather than a symbolic figure like Liberty, appeared on circulating U.S. coinage. Surrounding the portrait are the inscriptions "In God We Trust" at the top, "Liberty" O the left, and the date 1962 on the right, with the D mint mark below it, identifying it as being struck in Denver, Colorado. The reverse of the coin, which was introduced in 1959 to celebrate the 150th anniversary of Lincoln's birth, features the iconic Lincoln Memorial in Washington, D.C., replacing the earlier wheat ears design that appeared on Lincoln cents from 1909 to 1958. This design was created by Frank Gasparo, who was then assistant engraver at the U.S. Mint and later became chief engraver. The image of the Lincoln Memorial is precise and balanced, with a seated statue of Lincoln faintly visible between the columns, a clever, artistic inclusion that makes this one of the few coins to depict the same person on both sides. Around the top curve of the reverse is the inscription "United States of America" with the national motto "E pluribus unum," out of many. One above the memorial, the denomination 1 cent is displayed in large letters below the monument. The composition of the 1962 D Lincoln Cent is 95% copper and 5% tin and zinc, a bronze alloy that had been used in most U.S. cents since 1864. The coin weighs 3.11 grams, measures 19.05 millimeters in diameter, and has a plain, smooth edge. This copper heavy composition gives the coin its rich reddish-brown hue, which deepens over time and through circulation, unlike later coins that were made from copper-plated zinc. Beginning in 1982, the 1962 D cent is considered solid copper, making it especially valued among collectors and bullion enthusiasts who seek pre-1982 copper pennies for their intrinsic metal content. Although each cent contains only a small amount of copper, at high copper prices, bulk rolls of these older cents can trade above face value for melt purposes, though it remains illegal to melt U.S. coins for metal content as of current federal law. In terms of production, the 1962 D cent was massively minted, with more than 33 billion coins struck at the Denver Mint, reflecting the high demand for circulating coinage during the post-war economic boom. While this enormous mintage makes the coin extremely common, most 1962 D cents found in circulation today show signs of wear and are valued at just 1 cent. However, uncirculated examples, particularly those graded MS-65 or higher with full red color road designation, can be worth more. A high-grade 1962 D Lincoln Cent in MS-66 road may fetch $10–20, while those in MS-67 are D or better if well struck, with few marks can be worth $100 or more, though they are scarce in such pristine condition. The color designation is important in grading. Red road coins have full original mint luster, while red-brown RB or brown BN coins show signs of oxidation or circulation, where there are also some varieties and errors. Known for 1962 D cents, including repunched mint marks, RPMs, die cracks, off-center strikes, and double die reverses DDR. These errors, while not extremely rare, are prized by specialists and can command values ranging from $10 to several $100s, depending on severity and condition. Historically, 1962 was a moment of heightened tension and technological change in the United States. The country was in the early stages of the Cold War, and President John F. Kennedy was in office, leading the nation through civil rights debates, space exploration milestones, and foreign policy challenges. That same year, John Glenn became the first American to orbit the Earth. And the seeds of the Cuban Missile Crisis, one of the most critical events of the Cold War, were already planted. The economy was strong, and coinage played a central role in everyday transactions long before the rise of credit cards and digital payments. The penny, despite its low value, was still an essential part of daily commerce. Vending and savings culture often collected in piggy banks or coin jars across American households. Thus, the 1962D Lincoln Memorial Cent, while outwardly modest in appearance and face value, is a coin rich in history, economic context, and symbolic meaning. It represents a time of national confidence, traditional minting practices, and a period just before major changes in U.S. coinage, metallurgy, and design. It serves as both a tribute to Abraham Lincoln, the man who preserved the Union and ended slavery, and a lasting artifact of American mid-century identity. Top 2. The 1973D United States 1-cent coin, known by most simply as a Lincoln penny, may seem like a humble piece of copper often ignored at the bottom of pockets, yet it quietly carries over a century of American history, symbolism, and national identity in its small familiar form. Struck at the Denver Mint in Colorado, denoted by the small D mint mark below the date on the obverse. This coin belongs to the iconic Lincoln Memorial Cent series, which ran from 1959 to 2008, the obverse originally designed by sculptor Victor David Brenner, and first used in 1909 to honor the centennial of Abraham Lincoln's birth, shows a right-facing portrait of the 16th U.S. President. Lincoln's gaze, calm yet resolute, reflects his role as the leader who guided America through the Civil War and whose vision of unity, freedom, and equality still resonates. Above the portrait curves the bold word, liberty. And to the right is the date 1973, with a small D mint mark just below, tying this coin to the Rocky Mountains and the storied Denver Mint, which had already been striking coins for decades. At first glance, the reverse might seem purely architectural, yet it is steeped in symbolism. Designed by Frank Gasparro and introduced in 1959 for Lincoln's 150th birthday, it features the Lincoln Memorial in Washington, D.C., framed by the inscriptions United States of America and E pluribus unum, out of many, one, above, and the denomination 1 cent below. Look closely, and you'll see the tiny outline of the Lincoln statue inside the memorial's central columns, making the Lincoln cent the only U.S. circulating coin to depict the same person on both sides, a subtle tribute to the enduring legacy of a president whose life shaped a nation. Technically, the 1973D penny is part of the copper era of Lincoln cents. It weighs 3.11 grams and is composed of 95% copper and 5% zinc, giving it a distinct reddish-brown shine when freshly minted. This composition continued until 1982, when the rising cost of copper led the U.S. Mint to switch to copper-plated zinc cents, making coins like the 1973D part of what collectors often call the bronze cent. Period. With a mintage of over 4.5 billion coins, the 1973D is common in circulation. Yet in higher grades, especially mint state MS65 or higher, it becomes a sought-after piece, prized for the crispness of Lincoln's hair, detail, the clear steps on the memorial, and original luster. Historically, the year 1973 sits in the middle of a turbulent era for America. The final years of the Vietnam War, political unrest leading to the Watergate scandal and broader cultural changes, yet through it all, the Lincoln cent remained a quiet, constant turning in vending machines, dropping into piggy banks and passing hand to hand in millions of small, everyday exchanges that kept the economy moving. The design itself is deeply symbolic. Lincoln's portrait stands for unity and moral courage, while the memorial on the reverse is a national monument to democracy and sacrifice for collectors, the appeal of the 1973 D. penny isn't in rarity, but in the story, it tells a piece of history from an era of change. Part of a beloved series that connects directly back to America's most respected president. High-grade examples kept in original mint rolls or bags can reveal details lost on worn coins, the texture of Lincoln's coat, the sharp lettering of E pluribus unum, and the tiny statue framed by marble columns beyond its technical value. The 1973D Lincoln cent is part of American life itself. It jingled in the pockets of factory workers, students and shopkeepers. It helped children learn to count and filled countless penny jars across the nation, though worth just 1 cent in spending power. It remains rich in meaning, a small copper witness to daily life, history, and the enduring ideals of unity and freedom. Ultimately, whether kept shiny and untouched in a collector's album or worn smooth by years of circulation, the 1973D1 cent coin stands as a quietly powerful link to the past, a tiny round emblem of Abraham Lincoln's legacy, the American spirit, and the enduring journey of a nation always striving toward a more perfect union. Top 3. The 1982 United States 1 cent coin, also known as the Lincoln Memorial Cent, represents a major turning point in the history of U.S. coinage, marking the year in which the U.S. Mint made a critical transition from a 95% copper composition to a predominantly zinc-based coin. This change was driven by the rising cost of copper in the early 1980s, which made it increasingly expensive for the U.S. government to produce pennies. Until 1982, Lincoln cents were made of a bronze alloy 95% copper and 5% zinc, weighing 3.11 grams midway through 1982. The Mint began using a copper-plated zinc planchette, 97.5% zinc, 2.5% copper, weighing 2.5 grams. To reduce costs, this resulted in 7 different varieties of the 1982 penny being released for copper and 3 zinc, distinguished by 2 different date styles, large date and small date, used in both Philadelphia and Denver mints. No other single year in the Lincoln cent series has this many major collectible varieties. The obverse front of the coin features the iconic right-facing bust of President Abraham Lincoln, the 16th President of the United States, originally designed by Victor David Brenner for the 1909 centennial of Lincoln's birth. Around the portrait are the inscriptions, "In God We Trust" at the top, "Liberty" on the left. In 1982 on the right, some coins include a mint mark beneath the date D for the Denver Mint, or no mint mark for Philadelphia. Philadelphia didn't begin using peon cents until 2017. The reverse shows the Lincoln Memorial, designed by Frank Gasparro, with the United States of America across the top. The national motto, E pluribus unum, above the memorial, and 1 cent below. Hidden within the design is a tiny image of the seated Lincoln statue, visible between the memorial's columns from a metallurgical and numismatic standpoint. 1982 is fascinating because the copper and zinc coins look nearly identical but differ in weight, requiring precise scales or drop tests to tell them apart. Additionally, the large date and small date varieties feature subtle differences in the shape of the numerals, especially the 8 and 2, with the small date version being rarer in copper composition, particularly the 1982D small date copper, which wasn't officially documented and is considered extremely rare. With fewer than 20 confirmed examples, the Philadelphia Mint produced both large and small date cents in copper and zinc, while the Denver Mint officially struck only large date coins in both compositions. Though the 1982 small date copper cent remains one of the most sought-after modern rarities in U.S. coin collecting. In total, over 17 billion pennies were minted. In 1982, making common examples worth only face value in circulated condition. But uncirculated coins, error coins, and the rare varieties can be worth from $1 to over $10,000. Depending on type and grade, the 1982 cent significance extends. Beyond numismatics, it marked the beginning of a new era in U.S. coin production, where economic efficiency began to outweigh traditional metal content, a trend that continues today for collectors. The 1982 penny is a must-have study piece because it illustrates a perfect storm of economic pressure, design variety, and mint experimentation, all within a single year. Even in the palm of a hand, the coin holds a miniature narrative of American economics, presidential legacy, and the shift from historical materials to modern metals. The 1982 Lincoln Memorial cent endures as one of the most important, misunderstood, and fascinating coins in the modern era of American coinage. Top 4. The 1981 United States 1-cent coin. Widely known as the Lincoln Memorial cent, it's a small but historically significant coin that marked the end of an era in American coinage minted during the administration of President Ronald Reagan. The 1981 penny is part of a long series that began in 1909 to honor the 100th birthday of Abraham Lincoln, the 16th President of the United States and a symbol of unity, emancipation, and leadership during the Civil War. It was the first U.S. coin to feature a real person, and over the decades, it became one of the most produced and recognized coins in history. The obverse front of the 1981 cent carries the iconic right-facing portrait of Lincoln, designed by Victor David Brenner, with the inscriptions "In God We Trust" across the top, liberty to the left, and the date 1981 to the right, depending on the mint. A mint mark D for Denver or no mint mark for Philadelphia appears beneath the date, and proof coins with an S were struck in San Francisco. The designer's initials VDB can be seen at the base of Lincoln's bust. On the reverse back, the coin features the Lincoln Memorial, a design by Frank Gasparro, introduced in 1959 for the sesquicentennial 150th anniversary of Lincoln's birth. The memorial is detailed and dignified with inscriptions "United States of America" at the top, "E pluribus unum" above the building, and 1 cent below. What makes the 1981 cent particularly important is its composition. It was struck from 95% copper and 5% zinc, known as the bronze alloy, which had been used since 1962. However, by the early 1980s, copper prices were rising sharply, and in 1982, the U.S. Mint transitioned to a cheaper zinc core with a thin copper plating. This makes 1981 the last full year that all 1-cent coins were made with copper, giving it a nostalgic and historical edge for collectors. The weight of each 1981 cent is 3.11 grams, and it has a diameter of 19.05 millimeters with a plain, smooth edge. The mintage was massive. Over 7.9 billion coins were produced in Philadelphia, and over 5.9 billion in Denver, while about 5 million proof coins came from San Francisco. Despite the huge number, most 1981 cents in circulation are worth only face value 1 cent. However, uncirculated coins, especially those with bright red luster, classified as road and no contact marks, can be worth between $1 and $10, plus with MS67 red examples occasionally reaching $20, $30. Special varieties and errors, such as double dies, off-center strikes, broad strikes, and repunched mint marks can be worth much more, often $50, $200, depending on condition and rarity. The Lincoln cent remained in this form until 2008, and for many Americans, the 1981 penny represents a transitional moment just before coinage became cheaper and less traditional in its metal makeup. Though small in denomination, the 1981 Lincoln cent carries a legacy of American history. Symbolism, economic transition, and the enduring legacy of one of the nation's most revered presidents. Top 5. The 1968D Lincoln Memorial Cent. Officially, a United States 1-cent coin is a significant issue in the modern era of American coinage, reflecting both continuity in design and important changes in minting practices during the late 1960s. This coin was struck at the Denver Mint, as denoted by the small d mint mark located just below the year 1968 on the obverse front. Side 1 of the noteworthy facts about this coin is that 1968 was the first year mint marks were restored on U.S. coins after being temporarily removed from all coinage dated 1965-1966. And 1967 due to the Coinage Act of 1965. This makes the reappearance of the Lutetia mint mark in 1968 an important moment for collectors and historians alike. The obverse of the coin features the familiar right-facing portrait of President Abraham Lincoln, the 16th President of the United States, who served from 1861 until his assassination in 1865. This design, created by sculptor Victor David Brenner, first appeared in 1909 to commemorate Lincoln's 100th birthday and has since become one of the most enduring and iconic images in American numismatics. Surrounding Lincoln's portrait are the inscriptions "In God We Trust" along the top, "Liberty" on the left side, and the date 1968 with the D mint mark on the right on the reverse. The coin displays the Lincoln Memorial. It's designed by Frank Gasparo and first introduced in 1959 to replace the original wheat ears. This memorial design was used on the cent from 1959 until 2008. The structure is intricately detailed, and a careful examination reveals a tiny figure of Lincoln seated inside the memorial, making it one of the few U.S. coins to depict the same individual on both sides. The reverse includes the inscriptions "United States of America" across the top rim, the motto "E pluribus unum" out of many, one above the memorial, and 1 cent at the bottom. Denoting its denomination, the 1968D cent was struck from the traditional 95% copper and 5% zinc alloy, which had been in use since 1962. This composition remained standard until 1982, when the mint transitioned to copper-plated zinc coins due to rising copper costs. As a result, the 1968D penny has a solid copper core, weighs 3.11 grams, and has a diameter of 19.05 millimeters with a plain edge. Its high copper content gives it a rich, reddish-brown tone when uncirculated, but it can darken to a chocolate brown over time. Especially in circulated condition, the Denver Mint produced an impressive 2,886,579,200 of these coins in 1968. Nearly 3.9 billion, making the 1968D Lincoln cent extremely common in circulation as a result. Most examples found today in circulated condition are worth only their face value of 1 cent, or a bit more if copper prices rise significantly due to their melt value. However, uncirculated mint state examples can carry a modest premium red-colored road coins in MS63 to MS65 can be worth $1 to $10, while MS66RD and higher examples can fetch $20 to $50 or more, especially if they are certified by a grading service like PCGs or NGC. Although the 1968D penny is not known for major double-die varieties like some earlier years, minor errors and varieties do exist. Collectors have identified a number of interesting die breaks, die chips, off-center strikes, B errors, a die chip between the B and E in Liberty and clipped planchettes, all of which can increase the coin's value depending on severity and interest. Some coins may show struck through grease errors or weak strikes due to overused dies, though these are typically only moderately collectible. One more important context: For the 1968D penny is its connection to the special mint sets SMS and proof coinage in 1968. The U.S. Mint resumed the production of proof coins, but transferred this responsibility from Philadelphia to the San Francisco Mint S. Mint mark, therefore. Proof coins from 1968 carry an S mint mark, while the D and no mint mark Philadelphia. Coins are regular business strikes for coin collectors building a Lincoln Memorial cent collection by date and mint mark. The 1968D is an essential entry. While not rare, it is part of a fascinating period in U.S. coin history, tied to changes in minting policies, the return of mint marks, and the enduring tribute to Abraham Lincoln through the nation's most widely used denomination. Its affordability and abundance make it a perfect coin for beginners. But high-grade specimens and attractive red examples can still pose a satisfying challenge to more advanced collectors. Top 6. The 1966 United States 1-cent coin, commonly known as the Lincoln Memorial Cent, represents a significant era in U.S. coinage during the transitional 1960s. This cent was minted by the Philadelphia Mint, and as part of a special policy by the U.S. Mint during the mid-1960s, no mint mark was used on any coins dated 1965, 1966, or 1967. Even those struck in Denver or San Francisco, this policy was meant to discourage hoarding caused by a widespread coin shortage. And thus, even though some 1966 cents may have been produced at multiple mints, they all appear identical. Bearing no mint mark, the 1966 1-cent coin continues the long-standing tradition of honoring Abraham Lincoln, the 16th President of the United States. The obverse front features the iconic right-facing bust of Lincoln, first designed by Victor David Brenner in 1909. Commemorating the 100th anniversary of Lincoln's birth, the inscriptions on the obverse include "In God We Trust" along the top rim, "Liberty" to the left of the portrait, and the date 1966 to the right, although the design remained unchanged. From previous years, the lack of a mint mark is unique to this period on the reverse back, introduced in 1959. To mark Lincoln's 150th birthday is the Lincoln Memorial, an architectural icon in Washington, D.C. This design was created by Frank Gasparro, and it remained in use until 2008. A close look at the memorial reveals a tiny seated figure of Lincoln between the columns, making it one of the only U.S. coins where the same person appears on both sides. The reverse also includes the inscriptions "United States of America" at the top, the Latin motto "E pluribus unum" above the memorial, and 1 cent at the bottom. The 1966 Lincoln cent was struck using the traditional 95% copper and 5% zinc alloy, the standard composition for cents from 1962 until the mid-1982 transition. 2 zinc core coins. It weighs 3.11 grams, has a diameter of 19.05 millimeters, and features a plain edge. The coin's reddish-brown appearance can vary based on how it's been stored and circulated. Some retain a bright red color road, while others have darkened to a brown BN tone, the mintage of 1966. Lincoln cents was extremely high, over 3.188 billion. Coins were struck, making it one of the most common pennies of the 1960s. Because of this, the vast majority of 1966 cents found in circulation are worth face value 1 cent, especially in worn condition. However, uncirculated mint state examples, particularly those that retain full red color and sharp detail, can be worth more. A 1966 Lincoln cent, graded MS65 Road Red, might sell for $5 to $15, while superb examples in MS66 or MS67 Road may fetch $50 to $100 or more. Depending on eye appeal and demand, collectors may also be interested in error coins from this year, though rare. 1966 cents are known to exist with errors like off-center strikes, die cracks, clipped planchettes, and struck through grease. One of the most sought-after types is a double-die obverse DDO, though no major double die is officially recognized for this date. Still, minor anomalies and die deterioration doubling may be found and can be of interest to error collectors additionally. The special mint set SMS coins were issued in 1966 in place of traditional proof sets. These SMS coins have a sharper strike and satin-like finish, but are not quite proofs. Over 2.2 million of these SMS sets were sold. And a 1966 SME's Lincoln sent in high-grade Specially 1 designated SME's Cameo or Deep Cameo can hold collector value ranging from $5 to $50 or more, depending on its quality. In conclusion, the 1966 Lincoln cent is not a rare coin, but it is historically important due to its role during the U.S. coin shortage and mint mark suppression period. It features timeless design elements, high copper content, and collectible variations that make it a valued part of any Lincoln cent collection. Whether you find one in your pocket change or seek out a high-grade, uncirculated example, the 1966 penny continues to hold its place as both a circulating workhorse and a piece of mid-century American history. Thanks for watching my videos. Please subscribe my channel for more videos.